At a local bar in Los Angeles, Captain Rich, a veteran pilot for Northeastern Airlines, sings karaoke ahead of his final flight before retirement. After his performance, he flirts with a few women at the bar. Meanwhile, Ben, a first officer for the same airline, receives a call from his wife, Nadine. She asks if he can come home today, reminding him that their son is sick and that he can't keep running forever. Ben asks her to hold on when he receives a call from a flight attendant. He asks whether she managed to find any flights, and she tells him that there is one departing for Shanghai the next day.
I'll take it.
You won't have time to go home.
Doesn't matter, I'll take it.
Ben then returns to his conversation with Nadine. She insists that he needs to come home, but ends the call when their son, Sean, calls for her attention. The next day, outside the Northeastern Airlines airport, a passenger named Dan smokes while charging his tablet with a faulty power bank. An airport security officer approaches him and tells him that smoking is prohibited.
Cinemas, planes, bars. Now I can't even smoke outside without being harassed by the fun police.
Ignoring the warning, he lights another cigarette before finally heading inside. Inside the airport, Ben greets Rich.
Looks like I'm your right seat to Shanghai.
Been a while.
Rich tells Penny that she missed karaoke night. Penny replies that she heard he sang the same song as always and teasingly asks whether it worked on the girls.
It always was.
Rich is then called away for a random security check. Meanwhile, at the TSA checkpoint, an agent asks Dan if he's carrying any chargers or power banks. As Ben heads toward his departure gate, he overhears a young girl named Cora complaining that she hates flying. Her father, Declan, reassures her, saying this plane is much bigger than the one they flew on before.
You folks okay?
Yeah, it's fine. My daughter doesn't like flying.
He asks Cora if she knows what's more dangerous than flying on a plane. When she says no, he jokes, "A hippo." Cora doesn't buy it, so he laughs and assures her there's nothing to worry about, unless someone smuggled a hippo onto the plane.
Are you like a captain?
No, I'm a first officer. It's my job to make sure the captain flies straight.
Aren't you too old not to be a captain?
Cora. Tough, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Cora, sometimes in life, you gotta take a few detours to get where you're going.
He then asks if she's ever taken one. Cora confidently replies that she's always punctual.
Good girl.
At that moment, Cora's new stepmother, Jaya, arrives with her son, Finn. Excited, Finn shows Cora the toy Jaya bought him, but she dismisses it as uncool. Jaya clips a digital tracking tag onto Finn, then takes the phone from Cora and activates it.
The password's his birthday.
Not far away, an esports player named Lily calls her team leader, Sam, asking where he is. Nearby, an American athlete named Hutch mocks esports.
It's a bunch of losers kicking in mommy's basement.
Distracted, Lily accidentally bumps into him. Just then, Sam arrives and steps in, but Hutch immediately starts mocking him as Captain Keyboard. Hutch's coach quickly scolds him for disrespecting others and apologizes on his behalf. Under her breath, Lily mutters that she should have punched him. Sam tells her to stop being so reckless. As they wait to board, Dan cuts past them in line. As the cargo is loaded onto the plane, Ben tells Rich in the cockpit that the recirculation fan has malfunctioned, so they can't depart until it's fixed. Rich shrugs and says he'll simply reset it. Boarding begins, and Penny welcomes the passengers aboard.
Good afternoon, passengers. My name is Penny, and on behalf of Northeastern Airlines, I'd like to
As the
welcome
plane
you aboard.
prepares for takeoff, Ben begins the pre-takeoff checklist and asks for the flap position.
What do you think that's it?
Just need a response.
You do know, Ben, that the FAA has us confirm flaps over and over, only because those idiots flying Delta 1141 were so busy yakking about with flight attendant they wanted to bang, they forgot to check them.
Captain, I just need a response.
Flaps are 5, Ben. Same place as the last 3 times you checked them.
The plane soon takes off. After the relief pilots leave the cockpit, Rich tells Ben he thought he was about to take a swing at him over the flap check.
That wouldn't help my career any.
Isn't that how you got bounced out of the Air Force?
Well, that senior officer had it coming. You're annoying.
Rich tells him that he should have been sitting in his seat.
It's tough, with a wife and young kids. Thinking you can't afford to break any more rules. Well, Ben, I'm sure not gonna tell.
Ben smiles and asks if he could have gotten away with punching him. Rich laughs and says he would have reported him.
I know you would.
In the passenger cabin, an office worker named Matt is working on his laptop when he notices an elderly woman staring at him. Curious, he asks if something's wrong. She introduces herself as Becky and shows him a photo of her granddaughter, explaining that she's on her way to visit her in Shanghai. Matt simply smiles. Back in the cockpit, one of the relief pilots asks Ben how his son is doing, saying he heard he has been pretty sick. Ben replies that his wife's family lives nearby, so they've been helping take care of him. A short while later, the plane is suddenly hit by turbulence. Dan calls over a flight attendant for a pair of earplugs. The attendant, Zoe, tells him they've run out.
Are you gonna ration out the toilet paper too?
She says it's not allowed, but Dan simply stuffs cigarettes into his ears. Becky tells Matt that Zoe is way out of his league.
No, I wasn't. Wait, really?
She says Zoe is a solid 9 while he's only a 5. Matt asks, what if he has a great personality? Becky bluntly replies that he doesn't. A few rows away, Lily asks Sam why he called her reckless earlier. Sam explains that he was talking about her gameplay. Lily argues that every move she made was carefully planned. Sam tells her they could have lost the tournament because of her planning. Lily points out that they won anyway. She then asks why he's so afraid to read the letter she gave him. Sam says he'll read it once they arrive in China, before excusing himself to the restroom. Nearby, Declan tells Cora that he understands change can be scary, and says Finn looks up to her. In response, Cora puts on her headphones and mocks Jaya. Declan eventually gets up and heads to the restroom, with Jaya following behind him. In the cargo hold, Dan's power bank catches fire. Later, Finn's tablet shuts down due to low battery. When he notices his parents are missing, he asks Cora where they went. She tells him they went to the pool at the back of the plane. Curious, Finn heads toward the rear of the plane. Most of the passengers are asleep, but he stops when he spots Matt playing his favorite game. Matt smiles and asks if he wants to play, and Finn eagerly nods. In the cockpit, Ben notices a cargo fire warning. He immediately activates the fire suppression system, but it has little effect. He quickly contacts air traffic control, reports the fire, and requests the nearest suitable airport for an emergency landing.
Northeastern 140, this is Kasich, Oakland. Nearest airport is Guam International, 400 nautical miles south.
Ben then asks one of the relief pilots to get Captain Rich. Shortly afterward, Rich rushes into the cockpit, and Ben quickly brings him up to speed. Rich immediately orders the relief pilots to extinguish the fire. Meanwhile, Cora quietly slips out of her seat and heads to the restroom. From outside the door, she calls out to her father but gets no response. The relief pilots head down to the cargo hold and begin putting out the fire. Suddenly, turbulence causes the cargo to slam into the wall, triggering an explosion. The blast ignites a pressurized gas cylinder, which rockets through the cabin floor and strikes a passenger. At the same time, a flying wine bottle hits another passenger. Amid the chaos, Cora is sucked toward the opening by powerful suction. Fortunately, Lily grabs her just in time. To stabilize the plane, Rich descends to 10,000 feet. While passengers in the cabin quickly put on their oxygen masks, Declan and Jaya are knocked unconscious. Once the plane stabilizes, Rich makes an announcement to calm the passengers.
Folks, this is the captain speaking.
We have a fire in the cargo hold. Send it to a safe altitude and divert it to Guam International Airport.
Dan gets up, heads to the restroom, and lights a cigarette, while Sam steps out of the restroom to look for Lily. However, before he can reach her, the flight attendant tells him to take a seat, warning that it's too dangerous to be walking around. Cora tells Lily that her parents are still in the restroom, but Lily replies that it isn't safe to get up. Unfortunately, debris from the cargo hold is sucked into one of the engines, causing it to catch fire. At the same time, Zoe catches Dan smoking and shouts at him to put it out and return to his seat. Moments later, the burning engine tears a hole in the fuselage, pulling several passengers out of the plane. Rich informs air traffic control that they've lost an engine and requests the nearest airport.
140 Guam International is still the closest option.
Ben then notices the second engine isn't going to last much longer. He also reports that all the instrument needles have rolled back to zero, meaning they're now relying on the standby instruments. Rich issues a mayday call, but they soon realize they've lost all electrical power. In the cabin, terrified passengers cling tightly to their seats. Rich tells Ben to switch on the backup power, but nothing happens. With the plane now down to 6,000 feet, Rich orders him to deploy the ram air turbine, RAT. Outside, Cora slips away from Lily and runs toward the restroom, but Penny catches her before she gets there. Back in the cockpit, the instruments finally come back online. However, when they attempt to restart the engine, they realize they don't have enough airspeed for a relight. Rich sighs, saying they don't have enough altitude to dive for more speed, so they'll have to dump the fuel instead. Rich then makes an announcement, instructing everyone to brace for impact. With tears in their eyes, some passengers begin praying while others silently accept their fate. As the plane descends to 3,000 feet, Ben spots the ocean swells and tells Rich they need to turn the plane to land parallel to them. Rich argues that the swells aren't too severe and that he needs the headwind to reduce their descent rate. Ben calmly warns that if they land the way Rich intends, the plane could cartwheel.
Turn the airplane. We're gonna land parallel to the swells. We gotta come right 30 degrees. Confirm?
Confirmed.
Rich reluctantly agrees and tells Ben to move his seat all the way back. Everything goes according to plan until the plane is torn apart by a coral reef, severely damaging the plane and killing hundreds of passengers instantly. As the wreckage floats across the ocean, Ben excitedly wakes Rich, saying they actually pulled it off. He adds that if it weren't for the coral reef, they'd be celebrating. Suddenly, the cockpit windows begin to crack under pressure. Penny tells Cora to wait outside before entering the cockpit. Ben explains that his leg is trapped beneath a twisted piece of metal and that he's trying to free it. At that moment, Rich regains consciousness. He tells Ben to grab the crash axe and use it to pry his leg loose. In the midsection of the plane, Sam searches for Lily and notices blood on the armrest of her seat. All around him, survivors cry over the loved ones they lost, while others vomit from the trauma they have just endured. Nearby, in the tail section of the plane, Matt unbuckles Finn's seatbelt before shouting to see if anyone else is alive. Zoe calls back from farther up. Matt grabs a flashlight floating nearby, while Penny carefully climbs down, occasionally recoiling at the sight of the dead bodies around her. Meanwhile, Lily resurfaces near the midsection of the plane. She tries to climb onto the fuselage, but a shark drags her underwater. She breaks free and pulls herself back onto it. In the cockpit, Ben tries cutting through the twisted metal, but it doesn't budge.
Ben, no good. Don't be a chump. Either way, I'm done. I'm exactly where I belong.
Don't give me that where I belong crap.
It's your plane, Ben.
Not leaving you, Rich.
Confirm.
Confirmed. Go home.
Remaining calm, Rich orders Penny and Ben to leave and close the cockpit door behind them, warning that otherwise the flooding will consume the entire flight deck. He tells Ben to go home and be with his son. With a heavy heart, Ben finally agrees to leave. Rich tells Ben to find the ELT so they can send out a distress signal. Outside, Ben spots the injured flight attendant, and Penny joins him shortly after to help. Rich quietly sings his favorite song before the cracked windows finally give way, floods the cockpit, and kills him. Penny asks Ben what they should do next. Ben tells her their priority is to find any survivors. At the same moment, Jaya wakes up, bruised and battered. She quickly wakes Declan. Still disoriented, he asks where the kids are before opening the restroom door, letting water rush in. Back in the tail section, Zoe discovers Becky unconscious. Seeing the water level continuing to rise, she asks Matt if he can carry her.
She's like 150 pounds. I've only got the use of one arm.
150 pounds, really?
Becky tells him that she is a grandmother and the one she's going to help is Finn. However, Finn says he is a good climber. The three of them then climb onto the highest part of the plane. A few minutes later, Matt tries to open a door, but Zoe quickly stops him, explaining that they're inside an air bubble. If he breaks the seal, the entire section will sink. Zoe bandages Matt's injured hand. Matt apologizes for trying to open the door earlier, but Zoe reassures him that it's okay. Nearby, Finn begins hyperventilating. Becky comforts him, telling him that everything is going to be okay. Matt asks who he was traveling with. Finn explains that he was with his mom, his stepdad, and his stepsister. Matt promises that they'll find his family.
I'm Matt, that's Becky, and this is...
Zoe.
Zoe.
Penny asks Ben how long it will take for the rescue team to find them. Ben honestly admits it could take hours or even days. He says their best hope is that the emergency locator transmitter, ELT, is still working, but it's located in the midsection of the plane. Penny volunteers to retrieve it, explaining that she has won the Waikiki Rough Water Swim 3 times. Cora asks her where she's going.
To the middle of the plane.
She asks her to look for her parents and her little brother and offers to come along. Penny gently refuses but promises to look for her family. Ben tells Penny to give a signal when she gets the ELT. She nods. He offers her a life vest, but Penny declines, saying it will only slow her down. Before leaving, she hands her shoes to Cora and asks her to keep them safe until she returns. Ben informs Penny that the ELT is located around row 20 and tells her to make sure its indicator light stays on once she activates it. He reassures Cora that they'll find her family. Moments later, Cora spots a shark attacking a floating corpse and quickly alerts Ben. They both shout to warn Penny that there are sharks in the water, but she's too far away to hear them and continues swimming. Ben quickly inflates a life raft and paddles into the shark-infested water with Cora to rescue Penny. As Penny swims, she senses something behind her. Just as she hears Cora screaming her name, the shark suddenly attacks. Ben paddles as fast as he can and desperately tries to save her, but he's too late. It fatally mauls Penny before turning toward the raft, forcing Ben to fend it off by repeatedly striking it with his paddle. In the midsection, the plane remains perched precariously on the coral reef. Suddenly, it shifts, allowing water to flood inside, knocking a woman named Maritine down, but fortunately, Jim saves her. Sam insists they have to move before the entire section sinks. He asks the flight attendant for help.
Open your eyes, dumbass. Can't you see the stew's totally fried?
Just leave her alone, Kate. She's in shock. Let me help you.
Jim asks if she's a doctor, but she shakes her head, saying she's actually a veterinarian.
Great. Put a coat on her. Stop her from licking itself.
See, that's why I prefer animals to humans.
Realizing they don't have much time, Sam tells everyone they need to move. Hutch asks where they're supposed to go. Into the water, Sam replies.
Take some weight off.
Kid's right. There's a coral reef under us. It might take some pressure off it. You go then.
One person won't make a difference.
The two begin arguing, but Jim quickly diffuses the situation. A few survivors decide to follow Sam's plan, and Hutch is stunned to see both his friend and his coach joining them. He tries to stop them, but they ignore him.
Guess you ain't getting me that vodka soda anytime soon.
Moments later, the piece of fuselage Lily is on begins to sink beneath the water. Despite the pain in her injured leg, she carefully slips into the ocean and swims toward the midsection of the plane. As soon as she reaches it, Sam rushes over and hugs her. Suddenly, the coach is dragged underwater by a shark. Hutch's friend dives in to save him, only to be dragged under as well. Hutch instinctively tries to help, but Jim grabs him and holds him back. Enraged, Hutch blames Sam for the death of his coach and friend, shouting that it was his idea to get into the water in the first place. Just then, Ben arrives and breaks up the fight, telling Hutch that losing his temper isn't helping anyone. Back in the tail section, Becky offers Finn some nuts, but he shakes his head, saying his mom told him that eating nuts would make him fat.
What kind of a mother would say a thing like that?
Matt quietly asks Zoe how much air she thinks they have left. She replies that it's really low. Matt points out that if they stay there, no one will come to rescue them. Zoe then says she'll swim out first.
No, not on my watch. I can do it.
I know the plan better than you. And you have a broken wrist.
You made better, remember?
Becky tells him not to go. Smiling, Matt tells Finn to look after the ladies while he's gone.
Put her back. Matt.
You remember my name? Huh?
He dives into the water and swims out through the tail section of the plane. When he finally surfaces, he begins shouting for help. Suddenly, he's startled to find a man floating nearby, Declan.
My daughter, Cora.
Back in the midsection, the survivors grow restless. They wonder how the plane could have simply fallen out of the sky and ask how long it will take for rescuers to arrive. Dan angrily blames Ben, accusing him and the airline of causing the disaster. Ben calmly tells everyone that he understands they want answers and promises they'll get them. For now, he instructs them to retrieve the life raft from the overhead compartment and the life jackets from beneath the seats. He advises Cora to stay where she is before going to retrieve the ELT. However, he accidentally drops one of its antennas and dips his head underwater to retrieve it. Trembling, Cora quietly calls out for her father. Ben resurfaces and activates the ELT. Moments later, he realizes Cora is missing. He hands the ELT to Dan and tells him to get it safely onto the raft. Ben quickly finds Cora and carries her to safety. At that moment, the structure of the plane suddenly shifts as the coral reef can no longer support the pressure, allowing water to rush in and knocking several people off the raft. Dan desperately climbs aboard but drops the ELT. Jim helps Ben and Cora onto the raft. Nearby, Sam notices Hutch floating in the water and immediately swims over to rescue him. Once everyone is aboard, Ben asks Dan where the ELT is. Frustrated, Ben says all Dan had to do was get it onto the raft. Dan snaps, saying that if it was so important, he should have held onto it himself.
Is that what they need to find? And you lost it?
Hey, don't put this on me, man.
Just then, Cora spots Sam and Hutch struggling in the water.
No way. No, they can swim to the other raft.
Ben realizes the current is getting stronger and says they have to move fast if they're going to save them.
Who the hell are you to decide? I'm the captain. It's my plane. Oh, that plane? Great job. Huh? People are dead because of you. Now you want to risk our lives to make yourself feel better.
Ben punches back, saying he's going to save them whether Dan agrees with him or not. Dan tries to climb into another raft, but the others push him back into his own. Ben and the group then row towards Sam and Hutch, successfully pulling them aboard. Hours pass. Finn asks how much longer they have to stay there.
Hope Matt hasn't swum away with a mermaid.
He wouldn't leave us. When we get outside the plane, we inflate our jackets. They'll take us straight up to the surface like a big balloon.
However, Becky insists on staying where she is. She tearfully tells Finn to take care of himself. Zoe promises Becky that she'll come back for her. The two swim toward the surface. Along the way, they come across several lifeless bodies floating in the water, one of them being Matt. Moments later, they finally reach the surface. Zoe spots an inflatable raft and deploys it. She helps Finn climb aboard, but just as she's about to get in herself, a shark bites her and drags her underwater. She manages to break free, swims back to the raft, and climbs aboard. However, she soon passes out from blood loss. Finn cries desperately, begging her to wake up. As he leans closer to the water, a shark suddenly slams into the raft, throwing him into the water. In the tail section, the water has risen dramatically. Realizing she won't survive, Becky tearfully says goodbye to her granddaughter, thanking her for filling her life with happiness. Dan asks Ben if he has any plan that doesn't rely on dumb luck.
No, we're alive.
He then asks if Ben has any children. Ben nods, saying he has a daughter named Terry and a young son named Sean. Dan says he has 3 children, with the youngest being 5 years old.
I can tell you they ain't growing up without me. So whatever you gotta do, make yourself feel better about losing all those people back there. But don't use me, pal, because I'm going home. Whatever it takes.
I'm sure your kids are real proud of you.
Dan fires back, saying it's no wonder she is single. Just then, Lily spots a plane overhead. Everyone waves and shouts for help, only to be disappointed when it flies past without stopping.
Did they see us?
They saw us already. We just gotta hold on.
As night falls, a rescue helicopter is dispatched toward the crash site. Not far away, the captain of a Chinese fishing trawler happily remarks on the large catch they've hauled in.
Captain, we are enacting the 1974 Solos Convention. There's been a commercial airliner crash. Your ship is closest to the area where we believe there are survivors in need of assistance.
Copy.
Hutch notices Sam staring at Lily and encourages him to confess his feelings. Sam shakes his head, explaining that he can't break the team's rule, which forbids players from dating one another.
No one listens to that rule. Just tell her.
Ben offers Cora some water. Sadly, she says her parents left her behind. Ben gently tells her they didn't abandon her. Cora tearfully admits that she was supposed to look after her little brother, but she was mean to him. She says she doesn't actually hate him, and tells Ben that he is only 7 years old. Ben smiles and tells her that his son, Sean, is also 7. He then shows her an old photo of him. Cora quietly says that her parents will never get to see the person she grows up to become. Ben reassures her that parents somehow will always know. Just then, the survivors spot the rescue helicopter approaching. It immediately launches flares before slowly lowering a rescue swimmer into the water. Horrified, the group scream, warning them that there are sharks below. Unfortunately, it's too late. A shark suddenly attacks the rescue swimmer, biting off her leg. The chaos causes the helicopter to lose control and crash into the ocean. The impact throws several survivors off the raft, and they scramble back on board. Dan is pulled toward the raft by the flight attendant, but he pushes her down while trying to get in, and she is immediately devoured by a shark. Moments later, the survivors spot the fishing trawler in the distance and begin shouting for help. But the trawler comes to a stop. Dan asks why they've stopped. Ben explains that the trawler can't cross the reef, meaning they'll have to make their way to it instead.
Where are the paddles? We have no paddles. The other rafts, they've got paddles. They'll make it.
That's when Ben realizes Cora is missing. He frantically looks around and spots her on a piece of wreckage. Ignoring Hutch's warning that the water is full of sharks, Ben dives in and swims toward her. The survivors watch anxiously, cheering him on as he races through the water, while Dan desperately shouts at the crew of the trawler to save him, saying that he is an American. Ben finally reaches Cora and tells her they have to leave. However, she refuses, saying she wants to stay with her father. Ben gently tells her she can't stay there and says they're just going to take a little detour. He gently says that her dad would want her to be brave right now. Cora nods, and Ben helps her put on a life jacket.
I'm gonna put this belt over my neck, around my back, okay? And I want you to hold on to it while we swim, all right? You're not gonna let go of this, okay?
We're drifting away from them.
Long way, dumbass. To the boat.
As they swim back toward the raft, several sharks begin circling them. Seeing the danger, the captain of the fishing trawler orders his crew to dump their catch into the water. Ben fires a flare gun at one of the sharks, but soon runs out of flares. Fortunately, the sharks turn their attention toward the fish surrounding the trawler. Back on the raft, Dan notices a pack of cigarettes floating and takes it. Just as he's about to light one, a shark slams into the raft, throwing him into the water, where he is quickly devoured. The following day, the trawler is taking the passengers to the nearest airport. Sam tells Lily he didn't read her letter but knows what she has written. He kisses her on the forehead and she kisses him on the cheek.
A little detour.
Yeah.
Cora borrows Ben's phone and tracks Finn's location using the digital tag. The fishing trawler changes course and heads toward Finn's location. Ben thanks the captain for helping them. Before long, they find Zoe, who is badly injured but still alive. Overjoyed, Finn embraces Cora. Zoe asks Ben about the old woman, Becky, who was trapped in the tail section of the plane. Ben sadly shakes his head. It is then revealed that Ben's young son, Sean, has cancer. Ever since learning the diagnosis, Ben has been avoiding going home because he cannot bring himself to face the reality of his son's illness. However, after coming so close to dying without seeing his family or Sean one last time, Ben finally calls his wife and tells her that he is coming home.